Lights on, back up and running. You know, back up and running.
I think it's important to sort of contextualize how this even began. Where do these ideas come from? And how do these relationships form between humans to start to promulgate this work? And so this work here is really an intergenerational story. Chris Cassee is our chairman at Kirkpatrick Foundation, and I came on board 11 years ago. Now, long before that, his grandparents, who were the founders of Kirkpatrick Foundation, and my grandparents were very, very close friends in Oklahoma City, mid-century Oklahoma City, spent every weekend together. They were neighbors and they were big animal advocates together. So for people to speak on behalf of animals and to organize on behalf of animals in the 1960s, certainly in Oklahoma City, was kind of an unusual thing. They inculcated caring about animals at a societal level to their children, Chris's mother Joan, my mother Peggy, and then the third generation has sort of picked up that baton in a much, much bigger way.
I would have to say that it was my mother, Joan Kirkpatrick's interest in animals that really set us on the track that we're currently on. So before, the Kirkpatrick Foundation would be reacting to grant proposals that were made to us. Under the current situation, and with Louisa as the executive director, we're actively going out and seeking change in the way that animals are handled and treated in Oklahoma. It's a dynamic change to not just be reacting to needs, but to see needs and then proactively go after and trying to improve.
It's so important to teach our children to care for animals and the well-being of all things, of all living things. This is my intergenerational story. It's Chris's intergenerational story. The work that they were doing, John Kirkpatrick, Louise Rux, Eleanor, Joan, these stories will continue to unfold. Animal well-being, in my view, is an essential metric in overall societal health. Right? People talk about mental health, or they talk about physical health, or they talk about the economy, or they talk about jobs, but I'm elbowing my way into the discussion routinely, saying that animals are a big part of that. You cannot extract animals from overall societal health when we talk about how communities are doing. I think it was Joan Kirkpatrick's role at the Kirkpatrick Foundation that really elevated the grant making and the philanthropy into humane societies, to veterinary care, because she was an extraordinary, compassionate person. And most people are compassionate, right? Most people are compassionate, but they're not educated necessarily on the issues. That's kind of where we can come into play with some of our programming.
So why be unkind to anything, right? But we've just all become so desensitized to the plight of animals in our society. And that relationship is confusing for children. So we need to work through this, but being kind is something we should be kind to each other and to our fellow earthlings. When I was a youngster, animals were very much a part of my life. One day, someone called me up on the telephone. Maybe I was 12, 13, 14 years old. I just remember my mother had to drive me there, so I must not have been 16. And someone had said that there was a sort of a roadside zoo that was set up in the parking lot of a shopping mall in Oklahoma City, and that there were people protesting. These people had a whale in the back of an 18-wheeler in a tub of water, which just seems terribly unkind. All the way that fish and whales communicate and hear, the vibrations of a truck would just drive an animal crazy. So anyway, on this particular day, the phone rang. Someone asked me if I wouldn't mind going out and petitioning against that. In the 18-wheeler, there were holes about this big that were drilled into the side of the container on the 18-wheeler, and you could look in and see what the whale was doing. Looked in the first hole, I saw the eye of the whale, and it was just so haunting, but it was also desperate. And it was heartbreaking.
Why kindness to animals? I think it has to do with this overarching idea of beingness, right? Belongingness, life, right? The sentience, the eyes, right? The eyes are where we see that connection between the human animal and the non-human animal, right? That bonding, those pair of eyes really is what brings it all home, that these are sentient creatures just like we are. And I like to say, if it's in Oklahoma and it's got 4 legs or wings or gills, we're interested in it. So our work is not limited to cats and dogs or wildlife or animals in research. We've worked on all those issues. But we're really starting to turn our lens towards the animals that are living in extreme confinement in factory farms in Oklahoma. So just to kind of put some context to it, there are 220 million farm animals in the farm animal inventory in Oklahoma annually that are born, raised, and slaughtered for food. So of that 220 million farm animals in the inventory, about 1.8% of those, or about almost 4 million, are living their entire lives in extreme confinement. And so what is extreme confinement? That is, those are cages or crates where they cannot stand up, lie down, turn around, or stretch their limbs. Those animals are the ones that we're most concerned about in Oklahoma, period. The scale of suffering is enormous. Of that 1.8%, or the 4 million that are living in extreme confinement, 100% of those animals are female. Not 50%, not 80%, 100% of those animals are females. So we're really looking at that issue from an education standpoint at Kirkpatrick Foundation. It's easy to kind of want to turn your attention away from those issues because it's distressing and upsetting. But that's where our attention needs to lie. We're working on these issues 7 days a week. We've got incredible partners locally, regionally, nationally, internationally, and we've got people on all ends of the spectrum. We've got humane hog farmers over here, we've got vegan advocates over here, and there's room for everyone under this tent to educate about these issues. So,
many of the people in Oklahoma who are a part of the animal well-being community are isolated in their communities. They come to the Kirkpatrick Foundation offices and they're treated with warmth and with respect. And Louisa hears them and does her best to try and improve the work they're doing.
So I'm Jenny Hayes.
Jason Hayes.
And we are Oliver and Friends. We founded Oliver and Friends in 2017. We're an animal sanctuary, which is a little bit different than a rescue. All of the animals that live here stay here for the duration of their life. A lot of them are special needs, but all of them were rescued either from animal agriculture or from some sort of cruelty. We have a multitude of species. We have, horses, cattle, goats, sheep. We have a lot of pigs. We do occasionally do dog and cat rescue, but our main focus is, of course, farm animals. Some of the special needs animals that we have, some of them are missing limbs, some of them are born blind. We have some animals that are hearing impaired, but we're very lucky to have a good partnership with our veterinary clinics and then also with human prosthetic companies that help make us aids. So like, for instance, William, we have a cow and a prosthetic, and he's pretty amazing, but a human prosthetic company is actually who has helped make his leg. So I love partnerships like that when communities can work together.
The Joan Kirkpatrick Animal Hospital here at the Oklahoma City Zoo is a state-of-the-art veterinary facility where we can provide top-level care to all of the animals that call the Oklahoma City Zoo home. We opened the facility in 2015, and one of the unique aspects is that it's actually open to the public. So all of our guests that come to the zoo can come into the hospital, look through all of our rooms and see things from routine wellness exams on anything from a small tarantula up to a great ape, a gorilla or a chimpanzee. They might see surgery. We do surgical procedures if an animal is injured or has some sort of issue that needs surgery. They may even see wound care or us doing wellness exams on babies that are born at the zoo. So really a wide variety of things that guests get to see. If we're doing it in the hospital, the guests can see it. So it's really a great way to be able to educate our visitors about the level of care that we provide and also give them just a little bit of an insight into what it takes to care for such a wide variety of species. Before we had this facility, we had a smaller hospital that was just outside the zoo's perimeter, so the guests were not able to see it. They didn't even really know that it was there. And so as medicine, and zoo medicine in particular, has advanced over the years, we've needed more equipment, more technology, more space to be able to provide that top-level care. I actually got to know Joan Kirkpatrick a few times earlier on in my career, and she was such an advocate and passionate about big cats in veterinary medicine. So that was really a great, mix for us because we do have a lot of big cats here. We take great care of them in our hospital, so it was a really great partnership for us, and we have this wonderful facility that we love.
Unchain OK, which is one of Oklahoma Alliance's programs, we get a lot of calls about chain dogs all over the state of Oklahoma. This particular story of BB Prince was in Okmulgee. The thing we saw was the living conditions that BB Prince was living in. He was elderly. He had a chain around his neck. He never got any kind of attention by the owners. After Louisa got him, it just made everybody happy. It was the greatest day for everybody, and BB especially.
He's living a good life now, and it was awesome to see him looking fat and
happy.
His fur looked great. He was good.
He was a happy dog. And it wasn't a chain dog, which was the best part of it. When I first saw him, I just went into tears because I just, oh my God, here's BB, He's still with us, he's alive, And he looked good.
He's pretty lucky.
Yeah, not like all of them. And we do see some pretty sad things out in the field, but you just you can't sometimes help people that don't want to be helped, and that they don't want to help their dogs.
So it is good when you have somebody like BB that you've seen, and you've seen him, and how you've helped him.
What can be, we get involved with a lot of the dogs, but not as close as we were with BB.
They never turn off their phone. You could hear Jamie's phone going off at 3 o'clock in the morning. And she doesn't sleep through it. She'll hop right up and start throwing on clothes and say, Katie, watch the dogs, we're going out, or Katie, get your clothes on and come with us. But they never hesitate to get up and go anywhere in the middle of the night, anywhere. And there's a lot of nights that you worry about them too, because it's like, it's like I'm not young, but I am the younger one. But I'm calling them at night, where are you? They're usually in a really bad neighborhood, but they're coming home with a dog or taking one to a vet or changing something, making a difference somewhere. So it's like that. I don't think they'd ask somebody to do anything they wouldn't do themselves.
The people we work with are on the front lines. The Jamie and Robin Suarez's of the world, Jennifer D'Agostino, Drew Edmondson, they're on the front lines. They're dealing with these incredible cruelty cases. Our friends at Oliver and Friends Animals Farm Sanctuary, they're seeing incredible suffering that are animals that have somehow found their way from a factory farm into her farm sanctuary. With all of the work we're doing here, You know, I don't want it to seem like we're Kirkpatrick Foundation's making all these changes. That is not. We are encouraging and supporting and creating, you know, some more thought leadership, but these people are doing the work. It's incredible. Where animals fare well, people fare well. And where the animals are not doing well, neither are the people. So it's direct correlation. Animal well-being to human well-being.